Lights, camera, action. Okay, so we're going to revise mean, mode, median and range this morning, and then we're going to analyse the data set that we've collected. So, anyone tell me what the definition, so that means what does the word mean? What's the definition of the mean?
The average?
Yeah, so the other word we use is the average. Now, when we find the mean, what we do is we take the total of the values and divide it by the total frequency. Okay, so in this set of data, we've got 11 pieces of data, so we would add them up and divide it by 11. If there were 20 pieces of data, you would add them up and divide by 20. If there were 5 pieces of data, you would add them up and divide by 5. Okay? So what's the mode?
Most.
Yes, the most commonly occurring. Okay? So the most commonly occurring piece of data. And one of the ways there are a couple of ways to remember it. Mode does sound like most, so you can remember it that way, bless you. And MO at the beginning, you can remember it as most often. Okay? So either mode sounds like most, or MO, most often. What about the median? Ashi?
Middle.
Right, well that's half the answer. So it's the middle value. Now if I look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6. The median there would be 21 if we're only looking at the middle. So what's the second bit of that sentence that you must remember?
You need to arrange it in the descending order.
Very good. It's the middle value when the data is in order. Now, we normally put it in ascending order, but descending order works just as well because the one in the middle will still be the same. And what about the range?
The difference between the highest number and the lowest.
Very good. The difference between the highest number and the lowest. Mum's has been working on it with you. So the difference between the highest number and the lowest, or the highest value and the lowest. So we've got our data set that we've already collected. What is the first thing that you should do with any data set like this in order to make it a lot easier for you to analyse it? It's the first thing you need to do. Emma?
Put it in order.
Very good. Put it in ascending order. Now, as we said, one of the main, bless you, main errors in data, in statistics, isn't that you don't know how to do it, it's that you make a mistake. Excuse me. And it's actually really easy to make a mistake when you're putting things in ascending order. So you really need to check and have some way that you know you've ticked off the values. So let's look here. So our lowest value is 10. So I'm going to put a little tick by it, and there's my 10. Next values are 11. There are 2 of those. Now, when you're doing this in a test, when I actually did the solutions for your test, there's one data set that's quite big, and I forgot one of the numbers. So what I suggest you do is leave a little gap in between each number. So if you need to slot one in, you can, okay? Because what I had to do, I had to sort of like make it really skinny because I hadn't left a gap. So we've got 10, 11 and 11. What's my next number up in ascending order? Ashi?
14.
14, my birthday. Yep, next one. Oh, let's tick it off so we know we've dealt with it.
15.
15. Yep.
18.
Well done. 18. Cameron?
19.
19.
21.
21.
25.
25. And the last one, 26. Oh no, it's not the last one actually, is it? No. 28, yes, that's right. So, what I suggest you do then is make sure that you have got all the values. So here we've got 11 values. Just count really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Just to make sure, okay? Very easy to forget one. So if you've got, say, 40 numbers to put into a table, make sure that the frequency adds up to 40, because if it doesn't add up to 40, you've missed one somewhere, okay? So always cross-check, because it's human error that is the biggest error. So, we're going to look for the mean, the mode, the median, and the range. Now, I always do the mode and the range first, because they're the easiest. So, who'd like to do the mode for me? Is there a mode? Alex?
Means 11.
Well done, the mode's 11. Now, can anyone remember, say for instance, I'm going to put it in brackets because I don't want it to be part of our data set. But say for instance, there was a 28 at the end of it as well. What would the mode be then in that data set?
11 and
Well done, 11 and 28. Now, can anyone remember what a data set is called that has two modes? We have done it. Two modes, it's called bimodal, okay? So I'll write it up here. Our data set isn't bimodal, but if this one was there, it would be bimodal.
What if there was like a number 18 in that or something?
Yes.
You write 3 and just keep going?
No. There's no mode then. You can only, the biggest it can be is bimodal. Great question.
And what do you do if there is 3 or more?
You just write no mode.
Okay.
Don't write 0, because what would that mean?
there's 2 zeros.
Yeah, there's zeros. Yeah, exactly. So you must write no mode if there isn't a mode. Okay, so but of this data set, the mode is 11. Right then, what about the range? Highest value, take lowest value. Alex?
18.
It's 28, take 10, which is, of course, 18. Well done. Now let's do the median then. So how do we find the median? If we look at our definition, it says the middle value when the data is in order. So an easy way of doing it is you can put your fingers on the bits of data, okay, and then come inwards like this, like this, like this, like this, until you're left with 1. So what is our median? Better ask you, Caitlin. 18, because it was your birthday, wasn't it? Yeah. So our median is 18. Now, what I'm going to ask, though, this isn't the median for this data set, but imagine that this 28 was part of the data set, okay? So imagine that this 28 was part of the data set. How many values would there be then? 12, that's right. So here we've got 11 values, which is an odd number, isn't it? So when you've got an odd number of values in the data set, there is a middle value. When you've got an even number of bits of data in the data set, what would happen? Say, like, I'm going to pretend that this 28 is part of the data set. So we've got that, 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 that. I'm left now with 18 and 19 in the middle. So what do I do now?
It's half, it's in the middle.
Very good, it's in the middle of 18 and 19. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. If you know what's halfway between those two numbers, great. Because obviously halfway between 18 and 19 is 18.5, isn't it? But if they're, say, numbers that are quite wide apart, like 37 and 96, I wouldn't know straight off what's halfway between 37 and 96. So how could I do it?
Take 37 from 96 and then half it.
No, you would add 37 and 96.
Or actually 37.
Okay, so this one, if you did this on your calculator, 18 add 19 would be 37. If you halved it, it would be 18.5. Yes.
Oh no, I just got
When you remember the question,
Yeah,
come
no,
back.
I know what it was. It was like, I was going to say, what if the difference is an even number as well, but then you just go to 0.5. So
Yeah,
that's okay.
that's right. Okay? So, you mean if the difference is an odd number?
Yeah.
So, we've got to do the mean now. So, this is when you need your calculator. And you really cannot do statistics without your calculator. However, problems with the calculator, I actually make more mistakes adding things up on the calculator than I do doing them mentally, because I've got fat fingers, and you guys are so used to texting and doing everything. You'll be brilliant at it. I'm not so good. So I would probably add these up manually, mentally, or do it on paper. But what you need to do then now on your calculator is add up all these numbers, not this 28. We'll get rid of that one because the data set has got 11. So, I'm going to do 13, 46, 56, 61, 71, 79, 89, 99, 139, 144, 164, 170, 180, 190, 198 I make it. 198?
True or false?
True or false?
False or something.
Okay. I'll deal with it afterwards then. So what does it come to?
198.
I was right then, 198. Okay, so 198 is your total of the values. And then we've got to divide it by how many values there are. So how many values are there? 11. So do that on your calculator then. 198 divided by 11.
130.
Is it?
It says, look. I added 4.
Okay. So your mean then is 18. Now, if